Welcome again to eitv. I'm Julia Hobsbawm and I'm with Hamish McRae, who is the Associate Editor of the Independent newspaper and currently the Business Columnist of the Year according to the UK Press Awards. Hamish, hello, thank you for joining us. Can you just summarise quickly the subjects that you find yourself returning to again and again in your columns?
The big story, and you can't get away with it, and it comes up in all sorts of ways, is the shift of power, the shift of economic power, away from our old developed world to the new developing world, and obviously China, obviously India, but also the other countries of the Far East, part of the Middle East, part of Russia as well.
And you write both in the business section and in the main op-ed pages, so you're writing actually for a very broad reach. You're not just writing for a purely business audience, are you?
No, I mean, I think that the trick is to make economic subjects intelligible to everybody. Everybody sort of intuitively understands them, but if you can't actually explain in simple language, then you're not doing your job. And then for business, you're trying to say something slightly different, which is to take them beyond the issue of the markets of the day and then set that in a wider historical context.
Do you have the equivalent of a performer looking into the audience and imagining they're acting for their granny? I mean, are you imagining a NASDAQ executive reading your column or indeed your granny?
Oh, you never know who reads you. You just hope there are some people who want to sort of look into your mind, and that's kind of daunting. Oh gosh, why do they want to look into my mind? I don't think that there is any one individual, and I don't think it would be easy to have one, because you're not just writing for a British audience, we're all writing for a global audience now.
And do you find that you are following the same journalistic principles of mission to explain, or that you're actually in new territory which is mission to opine?
I think it's mission to explain, and just occasionally there will be some implicit opinions therein, but I'm kind of suspicious of this opining. I have these great thoughts. I'm not sure of that. I think you want to just try and explain the world as it is changing. And if you can do that consistently, clearly and honestly, then maybe other people will come on your side as well.
How fast do you think the topic areas change that you need to address? You wrote a main facing page comment piece the day we're doing this interview on private equity. Well, I'm not sure that people imagined that private equity would become a topic off the business pages that long ago. Are you surprised by how quickly a topic like private equity moved centre stage?
Well, I think that it's been pushed centre stage because it has become more important. It's been becoming more important for 5 years or so, but quite suddenly it has been pushed centre stage. Now, I'm not surprised by that. In fact, in some ways, I'm sort of surprised it didn't come centre stage earlier, because this has been one of the, I find, both intriguing and at one level disturbing features of finance, in that why should one leave the transparent public markets with their huge liquidity and go to something which is less transparent? And that tells me something that is both more worrying about the public markets than it is about the private markets.
And you talk about a global audience, and in some ways that global audience is typified now by an internet audience. If newspapers literally disappeared, which is often predicted, would you actually mind if your columns were read on the internet?
I think that the printed page is lovely, because you can see all sorts of implicit messages in it. The positioning of something, the way the headlines are written, you can see how it looks, and the feel of the paper is something I think quite deeply embedded in most of us. Now, if it went on the web, sure, I mean, the only thing that matters is our ability to explain and to communicate. And if that is the way we do it, then that is the way we do it. And it's very unprofessional of us to say, oh no, we can only do it in one form. I think that we need to do everything from creating something, our own products on the internet, and that raises another issue. Should columnists be personally branded, or do they need the brand of the newspaper? I think that the
and in your clearly are both. The brand of the Independent is there, but equally the brand of Hamish McRae and your opinions counts hugely.
But I think that I would be very I think we need both. And I think people sit in one paper more comfortably than they would sit in another. We've seen that when columnists have moved from one paper to another. They don't sort of look quite so comfortable in that, and quite often they go back. So, but I think that, coming back to your original point, to reach the world, you have to go on the net, and it's a huge privilege that we can now talk to people in Shanghai, as well as in New York, as well as in the United Kingdom. And we could not have done that 5 years ago so easily.
I'm going to ask you one last question, which is to say who you admire and who you read, either online or on the printed page. Who do you feel your week is incomplete without having a look at?
Well, this may sound a bit frivolous, but it's Lucy Kellaway on the Financial Times. I just think that...
Which Lucy Kellaway, the pseudonym as Martin Lukes, or the Lucy Kellaway as Lucy Kellaway?
Both Martin Lukes and Lucy Kellaway. I think that I love the debunking, honesty, sensibleness of it all. And I feel I get much more encouragement that there are good, wise, thoughtful, robust, sensible people out in the world debunking the nonsenses than I do when I read very earnest columnists who have these very strong views about something and they have to be right.
And of course the nature of a columnist is that you can't be right all the time anyway. Quite often you can be wrong, but you can have a strong opinion about it.
Well, of course there are a few columnists, and I'm not going to name them, I think of one in particular, who is totally wonderful because it's a he, is almost always consistently wrong. And when he said, he thought China was going to run into serious economic trouble, I knew they'd be all right.
I think we'll run a little editorial intelligence sweepstakes to find out who that is. Hamish McRae, thank you very much.
Thank you.